Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we are from group 2. This group formed by Davini, Shivana, and Raina Gahar. And now we are going to preparing to present your mood. Let's start with the first person.
The key to any good oral presentation is practice, practice, practice. And this is especially the case with mooting, where the judge can and will ask you question. The more you practice, the more you'll be comfortable with the unexpected, and the more comfortable you are, the more relaxed and persuasive you'll be. Practice also allows you to be flexible to answer whatever the judge asks whenever they ask it. So here are some tips on how to practice. First, you might want to write out what you want to say in full. This will allow you to order your argument in a logical way. It will also allow you to work out whether it's too long or too short. Be mindful that when you actually do the mood, it has to be a conversation with the judge. You can have a fully written speech in front of you, because when you're standing up in a mood and you're nervous, you'll be tempted to read of it, and that is not what mooding is about.
Once you've read over your fully written argument a few minutes, try putting the main point on a single page of paper and then practicing from that. If you can record yourself doing this, so that you can check whether you missed any argument or any of the main points. But remember, when you go to actually to the mood, it's not the fully written speech you use, but this single piece of paper, because nothing is not about reading of a script. You convince people by looking at them and talking to them. So that use a single piece of paper with the main points on it. When writing what you are going to say, use plain English. Too many people think that mooting is about using complicated words or legal words. It's not. It's about having a conversation with the judge. And when you're having a conversation with somebody, you don't use legal words or talk in a complicated way to make sure that your argument are explained simply.
Try practicing your oral submission to somebody who doesn't know anything about the mood or even the law. If you can explain your argument to a reasonable, intelligent person so they understand it, then you are not doing your job, and allow this person to ask your question, because that will help you work out where it is in your oral submission things aren't explained in a simple way at least once, and preferable many more times before you move. You should practice as if you were actually in the mood, dressing what you are going to wear, present in a formal environment, time your speech, advance somebody as the judge, allow the person who is acting as the judge to ask your question. That way you will be able to anticipate what the mood judge will be asking. Here at Bone University, when our students are preparing for a competition, they will practice literally dozens at times before they go off to compete.
Good afternoon, President Sema and Judge Wedgwood and Alvarez. My name is Sebastian Machado, and it is an honor for me to appear before the International Court of Justice this afternoon, pleading on behalf of the Republic of Alicante. I will speak for the following 22 minutes, and I will be addressing Alicante's firstly submission. The first one referring to the contact to revision intervention in Alicantan territory and how it contravenes international law. And I will venture into info the intelligence which was gathered to justify this operation. I will then yield the floor to my co-CEO again, Mr. Guillermo Turan, who will speak for 21 minutes, and he will address Alicanto's last two submissions. The third, while stationed at Camp Tara, and lastly, the accession Ricardo Netti, and how he must be immediately delivered to Alicante to comply with his judicial sentence. In consequence, Your Excellencies will be reserving 2 minutes for a rebuttal. Mr. President, and I may plead the court.
In December 2005, the United Nations Security Council adopted Resolution 5440, but which it authorized a peacekeeping operation inside the territory of Alcantara. On this operation, which complete your exercise, notwithstanding the allegation of the sexual exploitation and the broadcasting. Subject therefore by three submission, revision decide nonetheless to intervene in circumventing the fact, Your Excellencies, that the Security Council rejected not once but twice an express proposal to intervene. Your Excellencies was the assassination of Alicante Prime Minister Greg Lisa Mary, but the assassin is at this very moment of scanning at Camtera under the jurisdiction of the respondent state, and he is the subject of our fourth submission. It is your restless is the intervention of Alicante territory. After the adoption of Resolution 6620, which is of interest to the bench for a first submission, Your Excellencies, I will deal with the two arguments in our submission. The first one referring to the legal effect of Resolution 6620, and I will then turn to the more difficult question on this alleged rule of customary character, which allows for a third say to intervene when they consider that there is a humanitarian situation that so called for this intervention. Your Excellencies, as to our first resolution 6620 is not an authorization for the use of force. It is not, because a closer look at the practice of the Security Council authorizes Chapter 7 mission. It used the three-factor factor. I'm reporting the by an interpreting state, a very clear scope of mandate and very precise language to the authors the mission. Your election, none of the factors are found in resolution 6620.
Council, would you say therefore intend the authorization given the coalition in 1990? 1990 resolution is 600 with 78. Is it good, simple, or clear mandate?
It is, Mr. President, for one reason, and I understand your concern. because Resolution 678 merely referred to the obligation set out in Resolution 6620, but it hints in this sense that the mandate is very clear, that is to comply with the obligation to push Iraqi troops back into the state of Iraq. And there was a very clear language and a very precise mandate. Your Excellency, nonetheless, these resolutions and of the operation in 1990 did include the other factor reporting by the intervening states and a very precise scope or language for the authorizations they respond.
As the president, I think that was adverting 678 that have language which follows the restoration of regional peace and security. So the Security Council does know how to talk in riddles if they want to. Doesn't you know that?
Your Excellency, I understand your concern and resolution 628 didn't use express language such as the authorize the use of force, but it did make reference to the issue of necessity. The use of all necessary measures and these terms is here. The question of necessity has been consistent in Security Council resolution authorizing for the use of force. Ever since, ever since the first resolution which authorized the use of force resolution 8083 1 1950 against North Korea.
So I'm a little puzzled in that we're immediately jumping to trying to figure out the Security Council doing, which sound like we are being asked. And I think this happens on the other side as well to second guess the Security Council. Why exactly, other than the fact that you've agreed to be here, does this court have just jurisdiction at all? It would seem to be the case that this case is as the Security Council says, and that very same resolutions says out the matter. Why are we says of it?
Your Excellency, that question was addressed by this court in the Tehran Hashtag case, and in paragraph 40, it clearly states that when the council is says of them of the matter in its political aspect, the court can very well be says of the matter in its legal aspect, and that it's precisely what we put forward before the court. And it is also important to not judge all parts that in contentious case before the court there have been examination on the legal effect of Security Council resolution, such as the Lockerbie contentious case by which the court had to analyze effect of council resolution as to determine its jurisdiction.
Well, I guess that's enough from us. We are so sorry if we are making any mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.